Hey everyone, I'm Mark and welcome to another GameCast review. Today I'll be looking at Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, now available for the PlayStation 4 and PC. Let's start, as always, with gameplay. Gameplay and story go hand in hand as exploration, combat, and environmental storytelling all come together to weave a narrative of Senua's fragile psyche. For the most part, Hellblade is a light third-person action-adventure game, where you'll roam about stunning, semi-linear environments while solving puzzles and fighting monsters. The game doesn't have a tutorial and instead urges the player to figure it out for themselves, which adds to a sense of accomplishment but can also be quickly remedied by pausing the game and looking at the controls. The majority of the game is puzzle and exploration segments, where Senua must roam around the environment piecing together the way forward. It's interesting at first and definitely forces the player to pay attention to the environment, but it can be a bit repetitive as there isn't a huge amount of variation on the concept. The star of these gameplay segments is Senua's psychosis, as she'll see things or hear things that may not even be there. The lighting will shift suddenly, the voices will grow louder, and your sense of direction will be thrown out the window. It's here that the exploration sections shine, as they work as a narrative device and instill fear into the player, as they experience a mental strain they most likely have never felt before. The other side to the coin is combat. Being an action-adventure game and developed by Ninja Theory carries with it certain expectations. However, Hellblade is not really an action game. These segments are more like another aspect of Senua's mind, as they serve to break up the exploration and renew a sense of tension and danger. The combat itself isn't too major and functions like a game of rock paper scissors for when enemies are open to different kinds of strikes. Juggling multiple foes at once is stressful to say the least, and the voices are again a major part of the game, as they taunt you or help you throughout an encounter. The difficulty is defaulted to auto, which means the game will scale to your playstyle, and I felt like that was the best way to experience this game, as you don't get too full of yourself or you're given a break amongst multiple failures. It's not the deepest or best combat around, but it suits the game and tone they were going for. Next, let's delve into the story. Hellblade is all about Senua. Her journey into the unknown and her quest are all shrouded in mystery. It's best to discover it for yourself, but the general gist is, Senua has left her village and entered the land of the dead. She is plagued by mysterious voices at all hours, and they are a source of constant narrative and torment for Senua. These voices are a part of her darkness, and the world will react based on her psyche. The darkness is also given physical presence in different ways during combat and exploration, but it also manifests itself on Senua's arm, tracking the amount of times she's fallen in battle. This is representative of Senua's mental stability, as the creeping darkness has you worrying for her at all times. The voices all have different personalities, and some are there to guide you, while others taunt you, and some inform you of what's to come. Set in a melding between Celtic and Norse mythologies, there are many familiar themes and characters. It was interesting to see how it was all realised, and most of the narrative hits a balance of constant uncertainty, as you're never really sure if what Senua is seeing is real or not. In many ways it's confronting, as I was experiencing a game that made me feel uncomfortable at almost every moment. It's also because of this that Hellblade is hard to put down, as it pulls you in and connects you with Senua. Next, let's talk about the twisted imagery of Hellblade. Much like Ninja Theory's other games, Hellblade has utilised exceptional motion capture to express a living, breathing human that is clearly suffering. Her eyes dart around in panic, and her face contorts in hideous shapes to display her fear. The best scenes in the game are when Senua is monologuing to the voices and staring right down the imaginary camera, looking straight at the player. Senua's psychosis is a visual and audible terror. It whispers in your ears, muddles your thoughts, and makes it hard to focus. You see things that might not even be there, and certain lighting effects work to make something ordinary turn to fear-inducing. The exploration segments force the player to focus on the environment, and it was an interesting way to get the player to notice something they would usually walk past. The enemies and bosses are intimidating, and actually quite hard to describe. The battle effects are flashy, and there is a distinct rhythm to combat. The sound effects and soundtrack are fantastic, perfectly matching the world and shifting for the stress of each moment. Senua's performance is incredible, and the multiple voices echoing around are of a similar harrowing caliber. I'm not sure if I could really call Hellblade fun. It's more confronting if anything. In terms of mechanics, it all works well enough, although it could go a bit deeper in terms of puzzle variety and combat. At times it was hard to watch or slow to move forward, but I couldn't put it down. That's what makes it so hard to judge. Was this fun? It's a question that I don't think I can really answer when discussing a game like this. Hellblade behaves less like a game and more like an interactive movie. It's probably even closer to a documentary than a movie with the way it presents mental illness. It isn't everyone's cup of tea, and I can see this exploding within niche circles. I can't vouch for how realistic its interpretation of psychosis is, but it helped me understand what some people would have to go through. I was absorbed in the world, and I can see myself looking back on this release as something that tried to do something different. So for that, Hellblade is worth a buy from me. Thanks for watching. You can also find more from me and GameCast in the description below. Until next time, bye!